Ladies and gentlemen, listen closely, because this might be the moment that changes everything for you. Every dream you've ever had, every goal you've ever set, every vision you've ever imagined means absolutely nothing if you don't take action. You can pray, plan, visualize, and wish, but without movement, your dreams die in your mind. The truth is harsh but powerful. No action takes no success. The people who win in life aren't the smartest, they're the ones who move. So the question is, when will you? And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something that will shake the very foundation of how you think about success. No action takes no success. It's that simple. You can dream, visualize, plan, talk, hope, or even pray for success, but until you move, until you act, until you do something about it, nothing changes. The world doesn't reward intentions. It rewards execution. It rewards those who are willing to take that first step even when they don't know where the second one leads. And there are people who sit around every single day waiting for the perfect time, waiting for the right opportunity, waiting for a sign, waiting for motivation to strike. But let me tell you the truth, motivation comes from action, not before it. You don't wait to feel ready, you get ready by doing. Every person who has achieved greatness started somewhere uncomfortable. They didn't wait for clarity, they created it by moving forward. And the biggest lie we tell ourselves is that we'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow is the enemy of progress. Tomorrow keeps you in the same job you hate, the same body you're unhappy with, the same relationship that drains you, the same dreams that fade a little more each day. Action is what separates those who live life on their terms from those who just exist. You can read all the books, attend all the seminars, and listen to every motivational video on the planet, but if you don't take action, you'll stay exactly where you are. Knowledge isn't power. Applied knowledge is power, and every second that passes is a choice. You either move closer to your dream or further away from it. The uncomfortable truth is that most people know what they need to do. They just don't do it. Fear stops them. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough. But what if the real failure is not trying at all? What if the real loss is never knowing how far you could have gone? You will never know your limits until you push past them. You will never know your strength until life forces you to use it. And action is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. You can't cross that bridge by staring at it. You have to take a step, and that step may be messy, uncertain, or uncomfortable. But that's where the magic happens. Growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from friction. It comes from movement. It comes from the willingness to take imperfect action and learn from it. And think about this. Every successful person you admire once stood at the same place you are now, filled with doubt, fear, and uncertainty. The difference is they moved anyway. They didn't wait for the perfect plan. They didn't wait for validation. They acted, failed, adjusted, and acted again. That's the secret. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's consistency. It's momentum. When you act even in small ways, you start a chain reaction. Momentum is built one step at a time. And you see, success is not about massive leaps, it's about daily disciplines. The things you do every single day compound over time. You may not see results immediately, but they are coming. Every small action adds up. Every workout, every phone call, every early morning, every extra hour of effort, it all counts. The world doesn't always see your grind, but the results will show up when you stay committed and stop waiting for confidence to appear. Confidence is born from doing. The moment you act, you start proving to yourself that you are capable. Every time you take action, you silence that voice inside that says you can't. You build trust with yourself. You create evidence of your power. That's how winners think. They act first and confidence follows. And when you take action, you shift your energy. You stop being a victim of circumstances and become the creator of your destiny. You stop reacting to life and start directing it. Life responds to boldness. When you move, life moves with you. The doors that once seemed locked start to open, the people you need begin to appear, the opportunities align. But none of it happens if you stay still. And you might fail along the way, but failure isn't the opposite of success. It's the path to it. Every failure teaches you something that success never could. Every time you fall, you gain clarity, wisdom, and resilience. The only people who never fail are the ones who never try. The only way to truly lose is to give up. And you must understand, inaction is also a choice, and it has a cost. The cost of regret, the cost of missed opportunities, the cost of unfulfilled potential. You don't want to look back one day and realize you let fear make your decisions for you. You don't want to wonder what could have been if you had just started. The pain of discipline weighs ounces, but the pain of regret weighs tons. And you are far more powerful than you believe. Inside you is potential waiting to be unlocked. But potential means nothing if it stays dormant. The world doesn't need another dreamer who never moves. It needs doers who turn those dreams into reality. The universe rewards the brave, those who act in spite of fear, those who take risks and trust their vision. And when you wake up in the morning, ask yourself, what action can I take today that moves me one step closer to the life I want? Don't aim for perfection, aim for progress. Don't wait for motivation, create it through movement. Every small win builds momentum. And momentum is unstoppable once it's built, and you have to develop a bias for action. Make decisions quickly, learn fast, adjust faster. The more you hesitate, the more you allow fear to grow roots. But when you act decisively, fear loses its power. You don't overcome fear by thinking about it. You overcome it by acting through it, and people often say, I don't know where to start. Start anywhere. Action creates clarity. Clarity rarely comes before action. Move first, then figure it out. Life rewards those who show up, not those who overthink. You can't steer a parked car. Get in motion and you'll find direction. And the truth is, you don't need to have it all figured out to start. You just need courage. The courage to take one more step when it feels uncomfortable. The courage to move even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. Every great success story started with that same courage. The courage to act when it would have been easier to quit. And so, don't just talk about your goals, move toward them. Don't just dream about a better life, create it. Don't just hope for change, be the change. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is filled with action. Massive, consistent, intentional action, because no action takes no success. And the most powerful thing is this. Once you start acting, once you start seeing even the smallest results, you become unstoppable. You realize that progress is addictive. You realize that success isn't something you chase, it's something you build. Brick by brick, step by step, choice by choice, and right now you have a decision to make. You can continue waiting for the perfect time, or you can realize the perfect time is now. You can continue overthinking, or you can start doing, because nothing changes until you do. No action takes no success, but one bold move can change everything. And here's the truth that most people never realize. Your entire life can shift in a single decision. One moment of courage, one act of faith, one decision to say, I've had enough of waiting, I'm taking control now. That decision, to take action, becomes the line that separates the life you dream about from the life you actually live. Every major breakthrough in history, every invention, every revolution, every success story started because someone decided to stop thinking and start doing. They stopped talking about what could be and started creating what would be. That's the kind of mindset that transforms lives. And you see, life doesn't give you what you wish for, it gives you what you work for. The people who make things happen aren't necessarily the smartest, the most educated, or the most talented. They're the ones who refuse to sit still. They're the ones who take that imperfect action, who move even when the path isn't clear, who say, I may not know how this will end, but I know standing still is not an option. And action is the ultimate equalizer. You could have the perfect plan, the perfect strategy, but without execution, it means nothing. On the other hand, even the smallest action, done consistently, can move mountains. The power lies in doing, not just dreaming. Because the moment you act, you send a message to the universe that you're serious about your goals. You shift your energy from wishing to creating, and think about it. Every great athlete, artist, or entrepreneur you admire had a moment when they didn't know what the next step looked like. They weren't certain of success. They had doubts, fears, and insecurities just like you, but they didn't let those stop them. They acted anyway. They knew that success isn't about being fearless. It's about acting in spite of fear. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's movement in the presence of it. And you can spend years analyzing your situation, writing goals, setting intentions, but analysis without action becomes paralysis. You'll overthink yourself into stagnation. The most dangerous words you can ever say are someday and one day, because those words steal your future. They delay your destiny. The truth is, there is no someday. There's only today, right now, this moment. This is where your power lies, and the difference between those who achieve and those who don't isn't luck. It's follow-through. It's persistence. It's that unshakable determination that says, I'll find a way or I'll make one. When you act, you create opportunities that didn't exist before. You start to attract new people, new ideas, new possibilities. Action opens doors that hesitation keeps locked. And you might be thinking, but what if I fail? Let me ask you, what if you don't? What if you succeed beyond anything you ever imagined? What if that one risk, that one bold step, becomes the spark that changes everything? Too many people focus on the possibility of failure and ignore the potential of success. They let the fear of falling keep them from flying. But here's the truth: failure is feedback, it's information. It's a stepping stone. Every failure brings you closer to mastery if you're willing to learn from it. And failure doesn't break you, inaction does. Failure refines you. It strengthens your resilience. It teaches you how to adjust, how to grow, how to adapt. The people who make it big in life are not the ones who never fail. They're the ones who never stop acting because of it. They fail forward. They use every setback as fuel for a comeback. And if you want to change your life, you must move from intention to execution. You must stop waiting for perfect conditions, because they'll never come. There will never be a day where you feel 100% ready. Success belongs to those who take action before they feel ready. It's about momentum. It's about building movement until nothing can stop you. When you act consistently, even small steps turn into massive results over time. And you have to realize that success is not a one-time event. It's a habit. Every day you choose to act, you're training your mind to believe that you are in control. You're programming yourself for progress. Each decision to act builds your confidence. Confidence isn't born from success. It's built through effort. Every time you follow through on a commitment, every time you do what you said you would, you strengthen that inner belief that says, I can do this. And let's be honest, inaction feels safe. It feels comfortable, but comfort zones are cages. They keep you trapped in mediocrity, pretending that safety is success. Growth begins the moment you step outside of comfort. The discomfort you feel when taking action is the sign that you're expanding. It's the resistance that builds strength. It's the stretching of your limits that shapes you into someone stronger. And action transforms identity. When you take bold steps, you start seeing yourself differently. You begin to identify as someone who makes things happen, not someone who waits for things to happen. And that identity becomes your power. Because once you see yourself as a person of action, you'll never allow fear or doubt to hold you hostage again. And people often say, I'm waiting for the right moment. But the right moment is now. The moment you act, you make it right. The greatest opportunities don't announce themselves, they appear after you move. Life rewards the bold. When you take that leap of faith, life meets you halfway. It's as if the universe is saying, finally, you're serious, now let's get to work. And you don't have to take massive action overnight. Start small, but start now. Make one call, send one email, go for one run, write one page. Small daily actions, when done with intention and consistency, create unstoppable results. Progress is built through repetition. Every action compounds like interest. Each small win becomes a building block for your future success. And you must also understand that the world belongs to those who execute fast. While others hesitate, the doers are already adapting, adjusting, growing. The more you act, the faster you learn. You can't steer a parked car, but once you're in motion, even small adjustments can take you anywhere you want to go. Movement creates direction, and when you act, your world expands. New people enter your life, new lessons find you. You start to connect dots you couldn't see before. Suddenly, what once felt impossible begins to feel inevitable. That's the power of consistent, aligned action. It changes not just what you have, it changes who you are. And action builds momentum, and momentum is everything. When you start seeing results, even small ones, they fuel you to keep going. Momentum turns effort into excitement, and excitement into obsession. Before you know it, you're unstoppable. The key is to keep moving forward no matter how small the progress seems. Even 1 inch forward is still forward. And you have to fall in love with the process, not just the outcome. Because it's the process, the daily grind, the moments of uncertainty, the quiet sacrifices, that build your strength. You'll realize that action itself becomes the reward. Each step becomes proof that you're becoming the person you were meant to be. And don't wait for others to push you. Be your own catalyst, be your own spark. The fire you're waiting for is already inside you. It just needs your action to ignite it. You don't need anyone's permission to start. You just need to decide that your dreams matter enough to act on them. And stop overthinking, stop second guessing, stop doubting your potential. You've already wasted enough time standing on the sidelines of your own life. The time for hesitation is over. The time for action is now. Because no action takes no success, but every action, every effort, every step taken with purpose brings you closer to becoming everything you were meant to be. And the greatest tragedy in life isn't failure. It's potential left unused. It's dying with your dreams still inside you. Don't let that be your story. Move, act, build, create. Take the first step, even if it's small, even if it's shaky. Because once you start, once you feel that spark of progress, you'll never want to go back. And every day you delay, your dream drifts further away. But every day you act, it comes closer. You don't need a miracle. You need momentum. You don't need perfection. You need persistence. You don't need more time. You need to start using the time you already have. And so act with urgency. Act with courage. Act with conviction. Because action is the language of success, and those who speak it fluently shape the world. Remember, you are only one decision away from changing your life forever. One move can alter your destiny. One bold step can rewrite your future. The power is in your hands, always has been, and it begins the moment you decide to act. And you see, the moment you commit to action, truly commit, everything begins to align in ways you could never have imagined before. The people you need, the ideas, the resources, all of them begin to appear the second you move from wishing to doing. The universe doesn't respond to hesitation, it responds to movement. When you start showing up for your goals start showing up for you. But you have to take that first step. The doors don't open until you knock. The opportunities don't appear until you move. The breakthroughs don't happen until you take the risk, and most people live their entire lives standing on the edge of potential. They can see what's possible, they can feel it deep down, but they never take the leap. They talk about what they could do, what they should do, what they might do, yet they stay in the same place year after year. And the reason, fear disguised as logic. They rationalize their hesitation. They tell themselves, I'll start when I have more time, or I'll wait until things calm down. But those are just excuses. Life will never slow down for you to catch up. You have to jump in and learn to swim while the waves are crashing. And action isn't comfortable, it isn't convenient, it's messy, it's unpredictable, and it will test you. But it's in those moments of discomfort that you grow stronger. You build resilience, you build belief, you build character. Every time you act in the face of uncertainty, you take power away from fear. Every time you move forward when it would be easier to stay still, you reinforce a new identity, a leader, a doer, a creator. And that identity becomes unstoppable, and you have to stop waiting for the perfect plan. Perfection is a trap. It keeps you stuck in preparation instead of execution. Success isn't about having it all figured out. It's about having the courage to start with what you have. Clarity comes through movement, not before it. When you take action, you learn what works and what doesn't. You gain experience, you gather data, you grow through doing. The people who win in life aren't the ones who know the most. They're the ones who apply what they know the fastest. And every action you take is a vote for the person you're becoming. When you choose to act instead of overthink, you're casting a vote for growth, for confidence, for momentum. Those votes add up. They accumulate over time until your new habits, your new mindset, and your new life become your reality. The secret to transformation isn't intensity, it's consistency. It's doing something every day that moves you closer to your vision, even when it's uncomfortable, even when you don't see immediate results. And think about how much energy you've spent thinking about what you could do. All that mental energy, if redirected into action, would have already changed your life. Thinking doesn't create results. Doing does. Action transforms thought into reality. It gives substance to your dreams. It turns imagination into something you can touch, see, and feel. And yes, you will face setbacks. You will fail, you will doubt yourself, but those moments are part of the process. They're not signals to stop. They're signs that you're growing. Every failure contains a lesson. Every challenge contains an opportunity. Every obstacle is a test asking, how badly do you really want it? If you can push through the doubt, through the exhaustion, through the discomfort, you'll discover a version of yourself you didn't even know existed. And you were not put on this earth to stay small. You were not meant to play it safe. You were designed to evolve, to expand, to create impact. But evolution only happens through movement. You can't become more while staying the same. Growth requires change, and change requires action. It's not about giant leaps every day. It's about continuous movement in the direction of your purpose. And when you act, you take control. You stop being a spectator of your own life and become the author of your story. Too many people are living on autopilot, doing the same things, thinking the same thoughts, living the same routine, and wondering why nothing changes. But the moment you decide to act differently, your reality begins to shift. You start to see new possibilities because you're no longer waiting for life to happen, you're making it happen. And every dream you've ever had is on the other side of effort. You can't skip that step. There's no shortcut around taking consistent, meaningful action. You can visualize all you want, but visualization without movement is daydreaming. True manifestation happens when thought meets effort. When vision meets work. When intention meets discipline. That's when results appear. And you don't need anyone's permission to start. You don't need approval, validation, or applause. You just need the decision to show up, even when no one's watching. The decision to put in the work when it's not easy, the decision to keep moving when others stop. Every successful person started in silence. They built their dreams brick by brick, failure by failure, until the world couldn't ignore them anymore. And don't underestimate the power of small actions. One conversation can change your career. One workout can change your health. One decision can change your entire life. But you'll never know which moment holds that breakthrough until you act. Life doesn't reveal its treasures to those who wait. It reveals them to those who dig. And there will be times when you feel like your effort isn't paying off, when progress seems invisible. But that's when you must keep going. Success is often silent before it's loud. The roots grow underground long before the tree breaks the surface. What you're building right now, even if unseen, is setting the foundation for everything that's coming. Keep showing up, keep acting, keep planting seeds, because one day they'll bloom in ways you can't imagine. And the difference between those who achieve greatness and those who settle for average is simple. Those who succeed never stop acting. They don't let fear dictate their pace. They don't wait for motivation to strike. They create their own momentum. They understand that the hardest step is always the first one, but once you take it, the second becomes easier, and soon motion becomes natural. And momentum is power. Once you start, it's easier to keep going. That's why starting is everything. It's not about waiting until you feel ready. It's about creating readiness through action. When you move, you generate energy. When you act, you ignite belief. When you commit, the world begins to rearrange itself in your favor. And you'll never regret taking action. You might regret mistakes, but you'll learn from them. You might regret failures, but you'll grow from them. What you will regret deeply is the inaction, the chances not taken, the words not spoken, the dreams not pursued. The weight of what if is heavier than the pain of failure. Don't carry that burden, and you are capable of far more than you realize. You have everything you need within you to start changing your life right now, but you'll never access that power sitting still. Power is activated through movement. Purpose is discovered through experience. Confidence is built through action. You'll never think your way into greatness. You'll act your way into it. And stop letting fear of the unknown control your destiny. You don't need to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. Each action will reveal the next one. That's how every great journey begins, not with certainty, but with courage. The courage to act before you have all the answers. The courage to trust yourself enough to try. And when you look at the people who have changed the world, they all share one thing in common. They acted when others hesitated. They dared when others doubted. They moved when others waited. Action is the difference between existence and legacy, between potential and realization, between dreams and destiny. And so, no matter how big your goals are, start now. Start messy. Start scared. Start unsure. But start, because every day you delay, you're pushing your dream further away. And every day you act, you're pulling it closer. That's the law of action. It's the principle that governs all success. Move and you will be moved. And you were born to make an impact. You were born to create, to build, to lead, to inspire. But none of that will happen unless you act on it. You can have all the potential in the world, but if you don't act, it dies inside you. So stand up, take the step, do the thing, even if your voice shakes, even if your knees tremble. Because the world changes when you do. And once you start, once you take that leap, something incredible happens. You realize it was never as hard as you imagined. You realize that fear was only a shadow, not a wall. You realize that your greatest limitations were the ones you built in your mind. Action destroys those walls. It replaces fear with strength, hesitation with clarity, doubt with momentum. And momentum, once born, becomes the most powerful force in your life. And when momentum becomes your ally, everything in your life begins to accelerate. What once felt impossible starts to feel inevitable. The world begins to respond to your energy differently because you're no longer sitting back waiting for something to happen. You're creating it. The air changes when you move with purpose, people feel it, opportunities sense it. Life itself starts to bend in your direction because action is a declaration of intent. It's a signal to everything around you that says, I'm serious, I'm ready, I'm not waiting anymore. And every step you take builds not just progress, but presence. You start to stand taller, speak with conviction, and walk with purpose. You stop apologizing for wanting more because you understand now that wanting more is not greed, it's growth. You were designed to expand, to reach, to rise. And the more you act on that desire, the more alive you feel. That's what most people miss. It's not the goal that fulfills you, it's the movement toward it. The pursuit, the effort, the daily grind. It's in those moments that you discover your fire. And action creates a rhythm, a heartbeat to your life. It gives your days meaning. It gives your nights peace. Because when you know you've given everything, when you've acted on your vision instead of sitting on your excuses, you feel a deep sense of certainty that no one can take away from you. That's what power feels like. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. When your thoughts, your words, and your actions all move in the same direction, and you start to see how everything connects. You realize that the tiny actions you take today are shaping the future you'll live tomorrow. That every choice is a brushstroke on the canvas of your life. That every small step forward compounds into unstoppable progress. And when you understand that, you stop wasting time waiting for the right moment, because you see that every moment is right when it's used with intention. And the truth is, life rewards movement. Stagnation breeds decay, but movement breeds creation. You've seen it everywhere, in nature, in business, in relationships. Anything that stops moving starts dying. The water that flows stays fresh. The water that sits still becomes stale. The same is true for your spirit. You have to keep moving to stay alive inside. You have to keep pushing to feel that spark of purpose. Because when you stop moving, even for too long, you start to forget who you are. And when you act, even when you fail, you reconnect with your strength. You remind yourself that you have power. You remember that your destiny isn't controlled by luck or circumstance. It's shaped by your choices. Every decision you make is a vote for the kind of life you want to live, and the beautiful thing is you can always choose again. You can always start again, you can always move again, and maybe you've fallen behind, maybe you've made mistakes. Maybe you've let fear win more times than you'd like to admit. That doesn't matter. What matters is that you start now. Because the moment you take action, you're no longer your past. You're your potential. You stop being the person who hesitated and start becoming the person who executes. That's the shift. That's the power of movement. It frees you from the weight of what was and launches you into what can be. And you will face moments where nothing seems to work, where the effort feels endless, where progress seems invisible. But remember, this progress is not always loud. Sometimes it's silent. Sometimes it's happening beneath the surface, in the quiet hours when no one's watching. The seeds you plant through action don't bloom instantly. They take time, and that time tests your faith. But those who keep watering, who keep nurturing, who keep moving, always see the harvest. And the people who win in life aren't necessarily the ones with the best ideas. They're the ones who execute their ideas relentlessly. They fail, they adjust, they try again. They don't stop because it didn't work the first time. They understand that mastery is born from repetition, not perfection. And that's where most people give up right before the breakthrough. They stop when it's hard, not realizing that the difficulty is proof they're getting closer. And there's a point in every journey where you'll be tempted to slow down, to compromise, to settle. That's the moment when you have to remind yourself why you started. The moment when you have to look at how far you've come and say, I didn't come this far just to stop here. Because the only thing standing between you and your next level is the action you take when it's hardest to keep going. And your dreams demand discipline. They demand effort when no one's cheering, consistency when no one's watching, faith when no one's believing. That's where true transformation happens. In the unseen moments, when you choose to act even though you don't have the guarantee. When you push through the fatigue, the frustration, the doubt, you build something far greater than success. You build character. You build grit. You build the kind of inner fire that can't be extinguished by setbacks. And action doesn't just change your results, it changes your reality. When you act, your mind expands. You begin to see possibilities that weren't visible before because you're now operating at a higher frequency. The more you do, the more capable you become. The more capable you become, the more confident you feel. And confidence fuels more action. It's a beautiful cycle of growth, powered by your willingness to move. And the truth is, every action you take is a statement of belief. When you move toward your goals, you're saying, I believe in me. When you take a risk, you're saying, I believe something greater is possible. Every time you act despite fear, you're rewriting your story, from a victim of circumstance to a creator of destiny. And that identity shift, that inner revolution, is what separates the average from the extraordinary. And you were never meant to live a life of hesitation. Hesitation kills dreams. It suffocates ideas. It robs you of momentum. You can't afford to hesitate when your purpose is on the line. You have to move with urgency. Not panic, not desperation, but urgency. The kind that comes from knowing that your time is limited, your potential is unlimited, and your future depends on what you do now. And stop overcomplicating success. It's not some mysterious formula. It's consistent action applied over time with faith and discipline. The ones who reach the top aren't the ones who had everything figured out. They're the ones who refused to stop climbing. Every day they showed up, took another step, learned another lesson, made another move. That's it. The simplest truths are often the most powerful. If you move, you grow. If you grow, you win, and you'll never find your strength sitting still. You'll never find your calling in comfort. You'll never find fulfillment in inaction. You have to move into the unknown. You have to risk failing. You have to be willing to fall and get up again and again, because every time you rise stronger. Every scar becomes a story. Every struggle becomes a stepping stone. Every act of courage becomes a chapter in the book of your becoming. And here's what's incredible when you start acting, when you start building momentum, your world begins to inspire others. People watch you move, they feel your energy, they see your transformation, and they start to believe that they can move too. Your action becomes contagious. Your courage becomes permission for others to rise. That's how movements begin. That's how legacies are built, not through talk, but through action. And so never underestimate the power of one move. One decision, one step, one action can create a ripple that touches lives you'll never even meet. Every time you act with purpose, you're contributing to something far bigger than yourself. You're creating momentum not just for your own life, but for everyone watching, everyone learning, everyone waiting for someone to prove it can be done. And you are that proof, you are that example, you are the evidence that change is possible, that action matters, that courage creates miracles. Because when you move, everything around you begins to move too. Energy shifts, possibilities expand. Life responds, and that's the magic of it all. When you act, the world acts with you.